Okay, so you just bought a 2024 KX450. Amazing motorcycle, but you want a little bit more out of it performance-wise. You just spent over $10,000 for this guy, and your budget's a little bit tight, so you don't have the money to go out and spend another $2,000 maybe for an exhaust and some other accessories to possibly get this bike going. Well, I figured out a way to make it run better, but without breaking the bank. In fact, my mods are what you call free. Let me cover these things and help you make your KX450 better. Although most of you already know this, but the first thing you do when you buy your KX450 2024 from the dealership is pull off the battery. You'll notice real quick there is this rubber plug stuffed into the airbox. This has a lot to do with why these bikes don't run very well stock. Now, because Kawasaki is trying to meet 2025 sound requirements for the European market, they actually did a lot of these items in here to make this bike plugged up so it meets sound. Now, the easiest way to do this is you pull out the battery, as we've shown, pull out this rubber plug, and pretty much use it as a paperweight or whatever you want. You know, they say it's for rain days when it's wet, but we think it's just a way to plug up the airbox so it meets sound. Now from there, I didn't want to rip up my airbox just from the get-go, so what I did is I added these holes in here for extra air. It does help a little bit. Now from there, some of the factory guys, as you can see, they're actually cutting out this entire section. I've even seen some basically cut out this whole half of the airbox, basically leaving this completely open right here. Now I haven't done this, I might in the future, but as of right now, I'm gonna leave it with how I have it set up. Now, like I said, factory guys and some other aftermarket guys are showing that here, you cut into either into here or even cut huge portions of the airbox out to give it more air. From there, I modified the stock exhaust. Now, there's a bunch of guys on the internet talking about what to do, and it's simple, but it's not as simple as some people actually say. You do basically have to take off this rear cover, and it's siliconed around the edge. You basically take a razor blade, cut the silicone, pull off the screws, which is nice, it's not riveted, so they actually make it serviceable, so you can do what we're doing fairly easier than in the past when they're riveted together. Then you pull off the rear section, pull off the cap, but in order to pull off the cap, it's not easy. You can't just get it off until you pull off the rear section. So what I basically did is I pulled off the rear section, then I got in there with a long little broom handle or whatnot, and I tapped the cap out. As you can see, I have a couple pictures. There was a baffle right in the middle of this section right here, and I actually took some pliers and some creative way to push back those little baffles in there on the end cap itself. From there, there's two screens inside the core. So I took long screwdrivers and long little instruments and tools to pull out each one of those two screens. Now, there's a couple other ways to do it. Some guys use a long drill bit and they try to get the screen wrapped up around there. I mean, I just took a sharp screwdriver and I slowly tapped around the edges and I got the actual screen out. Now, I did try to get the ring out of one of the screens. It was a lot of work, it was a lot of pounding, a lot of bending, and it ended up being too much work for what it was on the benefits. So I just took out one of the rings just by trial and error, but I don't suggest you trying that. Just get the screen out the best you can, leave those two rings in there. Now, that alone does pep up the bike and make it run a little bit better. So here we are, we're getting more flow from the exhaust and we're getting more flow from the airbox. Next is the ECU. Now this is a simple thing. You download the Ride app through Kawasaki and you can adjust fuel and ignition. This is a free and really useful tool, especially when you add a little bit of air back into the airbox and you do some mods on the exhaust. Now I've found that adding a little bit of fuel in the mid of the range helps, as well as advancing the ignition pretty much at least one all the way across the board. It's kind of like personal preference. It's because it's so easy to make adjustments on your phone. You can go in, do a lap, making a change, do a lap, make a change. I personally like doing a little bit of a negative numbers on the very bottom, 0 throttle, and wide open, so it slows down the over rev. I will post up a couple small little screenshots of those so you can get an idea of what I did. There are a bunch of maps out there, whether it's Kiefer or Tickle or whatnot from Kawasaki, or even Chavez, but you'll get an idea of what works best for you. For me, with my 200-pound frame, I had to take it one step further. I went up one tooth on the rear sprocket. Not only does this help improve the gear ratios and help me utilize third gear a lot more, I went with a longer chain, and it actually pulled the wheel back and even stabilized the chassis even more. So right now I'm into this bike for a couple $100 when it comes to mods. We'll probably run either an FMF or a Pro Circuit slip-on or a full system in the future. But for right now, the bike runs really good. I'm really pleased with the overall motorcycle. Good luck with your bike, and if budget's your stuff, these are 3 great mods to start off when you buy a brand new 24 KX450.